But like, you don't even know when that timeout's going to happen.
No, we don't know. So
You just have to be ready to go.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, we
What?
do. Crazy.
Damn. It
Yeah.
could be like 10 seconds into the game or something.
It could have.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Dance with Laugh Academy podcast. This is episode 3, and today I have one guest with me. Is Zack, local Minnesota community member and dancer. Thank you for joining me today, Zack.
Of course, thank you for having me. Hello, everybody.
So, we're just gonna get right to it. Just give us an introduction of who you are for those who may not know you, or who know your name but maybe not know like your entire backstory. Just everything from when you first started dancing to what you do now with dance, and even like what you plan to do with dance in the future.
Yeah. So, hello, everybody. My name is Zack. Nice to meet you. I I'm 27, and I started dance since high school. So that's about, I want to say maybe about 10 years ago. Yeah, 10 years ago. So I started around junior year in high school. It all started in Chinese class, believe it or not.
Chinese class.
Yeah, so I was learning Chinese. But I had this group called ASA. I wasn't deeply a part of it, but a bunch of my friends were, and they were doing like this K-pop cover of the Sorry dance by I don't know who it is. I'm not a K-pop person, but you know that sorry thing.
Oh yeah, no, I saw that music video.
Yeah. So they were doing that, and my friend Tan, he was in Chinese class with me, and he wasn't part of the dance. And he was like, you want to practice your windmills with me? And I'm like, oh yeah, because I didn't dance at all, but I knew some basic 6-step and maybe a half windmill or something and a coin drop. So I was like, yeah, sure, let's go. So we went to the studios right after school, and everybody was all there. It was a big group of friends, and they're all doing the Sorry dance. And I met 2 core people that really changed my perspective of dance, and it was Frankie and Edgar. We really kind of we clicked right away, and we did a lot of like dancing like for fun, and then we got into ABDC, and we were watching the Jabberwockies, season 2 Kaba, and all that jazz, and Super Crew. It was all really cool. So we all did like we just made stuff up on the spot, like for fun, like shapes and lines and stuff.
Yep.
And then we got into choreography. That was Frankie's main thing, and we started to choreograph together. So we all like picked a song, and then we all made our own version and showed it to each other, and we just kept doing that, just trying to one up each other. So it was like friendly competition.
Okay.
Which is really cool. That starting with that, like I'm really grateful, because being a choreographer really helped in that way, because you just start by creating instead of just straight up learning from somebody else. Sorry, I skipped a whole bunch of introductions. I'm a dancer. Hello. I dance professionally. I used to be on the 612 crew at Target Center. And that was like a job, really nice job. And then I'm also a teacher. I used to teach at Straight Line, but they no longer do hip hop classes there. I used to teach at House of Dance. I would teach kids and adults social hip hop moves and some choreography. Let's see what else. I used to do a lot of other kind of gigs and shows, like I'm From, Volume 1 and 2, mixtape. There's so many more. I just can't think of them right now off the top of my head. But yeah, I'm a performer. I'm a teacher. That's my main stuff for now, and creator.
Right.
choreographer.
So early on, what would you say like your first kind of like your first real opportunity arrived where you thought to yourself that, oh hey, I can probably take this dance thing to like a whole nother level, or like, even make some money off of it or get deeper into it. So what was the first thing, first event or first job, first gig where you thought to yourself, man, I can do something with this?
Yeah, so it was a trip to Chicago. Um, I would say this is about maybe 1 or 2 years into dancing.
Okay.
I was dancing with the U of M group called Hip Hope that Joel made. Shout out to Joel. And during that time, there was this group of friends that were, you know, talking about like going to this conference in Chicago called ML Tour, Movement Lifestyle. If you ever heard of them, the studio. So they were doing an intensive for a whole day. It was about 6 to 7 classes, I believe. And oh my God, it was so good. Uh, I was not that great of a dancer at first, believe it or not. I really sucked. I was stiff. And, it was not my first talent, but I was able to, work hard at it. It was really fun. And just that whole intensive really kicked it up for me. Just by a lot of factors that came into it. It was like those people that I was meeting left and right. It was really amazing. Great people in Chicago and other people traveling around the world, or not world, but the state. And also the choreographers themselves. They're really inspiring and very just humble, and I don't know, just something about them just really made me drawn into it. So after that ML tour, I was taking the train back and then a mega bus back home. And I really thought about it. Like, I want to be taking this professionally. Like, I want to take this route. Um, it was really hard for school because I was doing part-time school and I was paying for all that. So doing school and then part-time work, and
Were you
then
going to the U of M?
I was not. I
Oh,
was going to MCTC, but a
CTC.
lot of my dance friends were at the U of M, so I spent majority of the time there. Yeah, so I would say that really kicked it. And then when I started getting jobs was after, I would say, the second season for World of Dance for me. I was part of this group called M&M, Minnesota Motion. The first season was really like, it was spontaneous. We
so
literally had like
so let
three
me
months.
pause you there actually,
Yeah.
because I know Eminem, and I know a lot of like the community OGs know Eminem, especially in the choreography scene. But for those who didn't, or the younger generation dancers, or younger dancers, who may not know Eminem, and kind of like not what went on, because I know that went on over there, but like just tell the backstory of what Eminem was, and then
Yeah.
yeah, how it like rippled down to what we have now.
Yeah, sure. So Eminem is no longer going as of now. I believe they almost went to season 3 with World of Dance, but I think they ended up not
I think they did, but
doing
it
it.
was
They
just a
did.
small like
It was
directed
a
group or
smaller.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So there was season 3, and after that, I think they stopped. Anyways, back to season 1. Um, it all started off with just a workshop that they hosted in the summer. And it was pretty fun. It was great. It was a lot of people, a lot of big turnout. And I kind of miss those days because, Corona. Able to go to class
Oh
with a
yeah.
bunch of people. I miss that. Yeah, so we were at Woodbury, and we were all in one big room. After the workshop, they made this announcement like, hey, so this piece that we just learned, it's gonna be something that we want to, go towards. And we are planning on doing World of Dance. And, a lot of us were like, oh shit, that's some crazy stuff right there, man. Because, we didn't know anyone else from like Minnesota that went there. Not at the time, but there was actually plenty of people that goes the World of Dance in Chicago for just more freestyling.
Yep.
In
terms of the choreography competition, I don't think anyone was there from Minnesota yet, at least.
Yeah, exactly. And we're like, yo, this is gonna be tight. So we're all like for it. There was like about, I want to say 26 to 30 people, which was a lot. Yeah, it was really spontaneous. This is back in July. I don't remember what year it was. I would say maybe like 2014, somewhere around there. 2014, 2015. No, 2014 for sure. Yeah, so we had literally like maybe 3 to 4 months of like learning choreo, cleaning choreo, drilling choreo, and yeah, it was great. The whole dynamic of it was straightforward. Everything was pretty laid back, I would say. But everybody was working hard. The determination that everybody was showing was kind of amazing. Thinking back now, like a lot of us weren't really like professionally trained dancers, and we were all kind of pretty new at it. So it was really fun growing with a group of people. Yeah, and then going to Chicago, we made seventh place, I think. Yeah, seventh place for the first time, and we were like, damn, that's pretty good for our first time. So that was really good. So we advanced to the second season, and they decided to do another edition because originally they wanted to keep the same people, the same vibe, but they wanted more people or different types of people because I believe it was some people's schedules couldn't work and they couldn't come. So they're like, yeah, let's just add more people. So yeah, long story short, they did the auditions. Team dynamic was changed, leadership was changed. There was a committee that got formed, but it wasn't a clear direction towards anything. It was just more like dictatorship in a way. So it kind of started off shaky, and then towards the middle, things were trying to kind of fall into place. But internal like affairs, it was just more, a lot of the group was starting to like branch apart into like cliques, and which is bound to happen, like after a team dynamic gets added new people, remove some people, it changed. It always changes. So unfortunately, like things start to split, and we're not much of a team. So yeah, that year we got 14th place, I believe, either 14th or 14th, I think. And it wasn't that great. A lot of us were really like shaken and kind of broken down, and the team
kind of
was
expected
just
like higher or like,
or at least the same or near.
because you would think second year, you'd be better.
Exactly, and we also had plenty more time. We had more people, and we had better dancers as well. But we had a few that dropped out, mainly because of just leadership wasn't up to par or just doesn't feel productive, I would say. So yeah, long story short, a lot of people were feeling salty, and things were blamed, things were said. I don't want to get too much into that because
Oh, hello, Zack, you there? I think we lost him.
Hello.
Hey, yeah, you froze on me.
Yeah. Sorry. It'd be like that sometimes. Oh no. Um,
I mean, you're good now. At least I'm
okay.
on my end. Oh, you're good.
Okay, sweet, sweet. All right. I think it's stabilized. Shoot. Yeah. So I was able to hear you, by the way.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, good. That's good. But
Yeah.
so then, uh, what was the very first thing that you did once once you left Minnesota Motion?
I was feeling really bad.
Really?
Yeah, so I I'm really hard on myself sometimes
Like bad about
and
yourself or bad about like other
about
people or
myself.
like, oh,
So
okay.
yeah. So in team settings, I tend to not blame my team. Usually it's like the mentality should be like, okay, if we didn't do well, we got to blame ourselves for not trying harder. You know what I mean? And that's my mentality. And, I don't want to put blame on anybody because I could have done better too, So literally, I felt like I let the team down, you know, and that frustration, that disappointment, I wasn't getting enough sleep for, a couple of days after our comeback from Chicago. So I hit up Ozzy. If anybody doesn't know who Ozzy Driz is, he is one of the leader of house um, in Minnesota. Shout out to Ozzy. He was a great mentor and still is. So I learned house from him. He sent me videos from YouTube and I learned from it. I came to house session. That used to be every Wednesday at Straight Line, but no longer the case right now. Everything's going to be at all day on Thursdays. So so I started learning house right after World of Dance, and that's when my technique started to begin its journey, I would say. So like foundation wise, discipline, repetition. Uh, House was my first foundation in dance, I would say. So that's when my movement started to change. After that, we made this group, Joelle and Frankie, that I was hanging out with. We made this group called Coup d'etat. And Herb was in there, Mimi, Corey, Booker, people that aren't in the scene as much anymore. Other people. Herb is still there. We started learning social hip hop and other kind of freestyle styles, I would say. Like let's see, I learned popping, which is really hard. Social hip hop to there's some workshops on the way, and I learned whacking from that one. Let's see, and then further along the road, I started learning crump from Herb. Just a lot of other styles, even locking. And from just after World of Dance, I just started learning a bunch of other styles, and that really benefited me. And, my body started getting stronger. I started learning how to groove a lot better, learned how my body moves. And, and that's when I started learning, no, not learning, but teaching dance itself, like choreography or social hip hop. So I was super passionate at the time with social hip hop and started teaching that.
So for those who don't know or may not know, what is social hip hop?
Social hip hop, old school moves for people that don't know.
Talking like the Cabbage Patch, Part 16,
Exactly.
that.
Yes, the two step, Roger Rabbit, all that fun stuff. But I mean, if you guys don't know, contact HOD, House of Dance. They teach social hip hop there for kids and adults. So I would recommend them.
Right.
Yeah.
So then while you were after World of Dance, you picked up all of these dance styles and foundations and it seemed very like dance intensive. Like you were really on a uh, kind of like a self journey of just learning as much as you can.
Yeah.
Some people, and this may depend on like what genre of dance you're in, but like some people, think that, you should find a dance that you like and kind of, just work towards that one or two specific dance, but you took on like a lot of
Mhm.
different things at once. Is that something that you would recommend for, people who want to get into dance, just learn whatever? Or would you say,
Mhm.
stick to one thing and try to learn that way?
You see, that was a big controversy with that. Um, for me, like when I first started dancing, I was like, okay, choreography is going to be my thing. It's always going to be my thing. It's still my thing, and that's my home, right? So choreography is always going to be there for me. Um, for dance, we have to think of it differently. Um, think of it, there's multiple like metaphors here. Think of it like being an athlete. We are kind of athletes, so being versed in a lot of different styles will add on to your body movement, right? So for all of us dancers, we all know what body muscle memory is, right? So with muscle memory, the more you add to that database in your head and to your body evolves and knows how to move in different ways. So what I'm trying to get at is like the more versed you are in different styles, the more you start moving differently and also being kind of versatile in a way. And if you're thinking art form wise, art is many things into one. You know what I mean? So like, say if you learned house, right? And if you stick to house, you'll kind of be plateauing at a certain point. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, this is all I can really do. You can create moves, you can create sets, which is awesome. But if you learned, let's say, locking, right? That's going to add so much more to your dance patterns. So like you have a bunch of your leg movement going on, then you have a bunch of your arms moving around because of locking, and then there's certain parts where you can funk to it, you know what I mean? So like the more art styles, aka dance styles, the more it creates your creativity, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so having a bunch of things in your arsenal is good. Um, but also like you got to learn how to know how to use them as well. You know what I mean? So you can learn a bunch of styles as much as you want, but how are you going to use them is the right way of saying it.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, if you're a new dancer, I would choose a style to work on for at least maybe a year and a half, maybe two. Um, if you're bold enough, or well, not no, scratch that. I would say that. I would say that. Work on it for like a year or two, like full on work on it, like
Mm-hmm.
at least twice a week, or maybe even every day. Be a practitioner. Just work on it. It's a skill. Every dance style is a skill. It's an art form. It's good to do some research on how it come up about. Um, and it learning all these styles really changed my choreography as well. You know what I mean? Like music wise, if we're thinking about music, which is another art form, I would say, and the more styles you do, the more different sounds you kind of pick up in a way. You know what I mean? So like in a lot of house dance, there's a lot of different kind of layers, a lot of different layers. So you're gonna learn so much like different sounds, different ways of moving to a certain sound. And then for like, if you got into breaking, there's a lot of downbeats and you're gonna be hearing all of those downbeats, but also having house background, you're gonna hear even more stuff in there, which can really add on to your set or your session cipher or something like that. You know what I mean? So learning certain styles really do help you. If you are new, I would suggest going into it one at a time, and have fun with it. Um, and then just kind of, it's kind of hard to say, but just gotta, just
Yeah.
keep dancing.
Yeah, definitely. So as a choreographer, right?
Hmm.
I think a lot of people who start building themselves as dancers once they get into the groove and start learning uh to to really understand dance, and they pick up choreography really easily. Usually their next step after dancing for so long is probably going to be choreography. But then what they don't realize sometimes is that once they get into choreography, that's a whole another monster. It's like you're
Yeah.
starting from like level one all over again, right?
Hmm.
You people come up with like this idea that, oh, if I can pick up choreography super easily, I can like make choreography,
Hmm.
but that is far from the truth. So
Hmm.
what I want to do is I want to pick your brains. I want to know what your choreography process is
Hmm.
from the moment you pick the song and
Hmm.
to just your entire process of creating, say, like, I don't know, a 8/16 count.
Okay. Um, Starts off with music first. Um, Music is always important, something to vibe off of with. So let's exclude like job stuff, all that stuff. So if I were to just choreograph for fun, I would just listen to music and whatever catches my brain. It's kind of hard to explain. Like if you
Like,
ever
do
like
you envision yourself dancing to that music? Is that what
all the
you're?
time,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. So so say for example, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this. If you're driving and you're listening to music and there's a certain part of the song you're like, ooh, I could do this part or this or that, So I would be like, okay, this is the song that I really vibe off of. Because a lot of my choreography process, it's all like motivation. The way it starts is motivational, and then after that it's all like discipline in a way. But once I kind of like, how to explain this, when you find a song that you really like, and I would say maybe like more than 75% of kind of have an idea what you want is the song that you want to choreograph to, if that makes sense. um so as soon as I pick a song, right, I start finding a spot where I want to start dancing on. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So that's my process there, wherever it is, and then from there, I just kind of I'm weird for choreographing, because some people what they do is they listen to it and then they stop it and then they kind of envision it in their head and just kind of do it from there. You know what I mean? I can't do that. I have to like start from where I'm gonna start, listen to it, stop, restart, do it again, and then see if my movement fits. So I don't go from like 1 to 8 count right away. I just start from 1 count, 2 counts, 3 counts, or whatever, how many counts I create at a time. And then I kind of drill it in that way. Um, so say if I made like 5 counts of just five, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I just kind of like think about how do I bridge this to the next part in a way, you know what I mean? Um,
So when you're bridging those moments, right? Because
mhm.
as choreographers, we have, like you said earlier, there's like these parts of the music where we're like, we know what we want to do, but then
Hmm.
sometimes we don't know how to get there,
Exactly.
right?
That's the
So
hard
then,
part.
how do you bridge those gaps, right? People have an A and the C, but they don't have the B.
Yeah.
Is it okay to just do whatever to get to C, or do you think people should put more effort into it, into that B part?
It depends on the creative process. The only goal really from getting from A to B is, does it work? Does it feel good? Um, so there's different kind of choreography, like looks and aesthetics that you want to go for, and that's cool. Um, but for me, it's like it's all about feeling first, and then I kind of like adjust from that to make it look better. So say if I made an 8 count, but I'm missing maybe 4 counts, and then I have the next 8 count after that. So I'm like, okay, I got to make 4 counts to whatever this part is, and I have no idea. So what I do is I just kind of play the song, I dance it, and then I freestyle that part, and then I go back to my other thing and see how it works, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, a lot of people do suggest like if you should record it while you freestyle it, because sometimes you come up with something and I was like, oh dude, that's tight, but I forgot what I did.
Yeah, you forget what you did. No, or your
So
friends will be like, "Do that again." You're like, I don't know what I did."
yeah. So it's good to record yourself. And I hate recording myself even to this day, but I have
I
to
think a
sometimes.
lot of us just hate how we look when we dance.
Yeah, yeah.
It's weird. Like people be like, "Damn, that's dope," and you're like, "Not really."
I'm pretty insecure. Don't look at me. But yeah, it's just it's all depending on your creativity and your creative process. It's like you shouldn't rush it unless you need to, but I wouldn't recommend it. Sometimes if you do feel stuck and you don't know, take a break, come back to it later, or just drill the parts that you know already so you can kind of like good about it and um, watch it over, start a new choreo. Sometimes that works. So I start back then. I used to do like
Hold on, your
I would take
video
break
froze
from.
on me quickly.
Oh, oh, let me know when I'm back in.
Coming back a little bit. I think you're back now.
Okay. All right. So sometimes when I get stuck in choreography, I tend to just make a new choreo at the time just for fun. Um, I guess that kind of correlates back to like foundation of just freestyling or just whatever that comes to your mind. Uh, I guess that's just like my version of a break. And then once I kind of like do something cool on the next one, I'm like, oh, maybe I want to do this for the one that I was actually working on. So I mean, whatever works to get your creative mind working, you know, like for me, just get re-inspired. You can watch dance videos too, and know, like analyze how they move, how they bridge their choreographies, because uh, I was talking to other choreographers too, and they're like, yeah, so I kind of like how I choreograph is like I just kind of make a rough draft of like how many counts I need to do. And I'm like, okay, let's do 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's good. Let's try this, 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 this. Don't know what to do there, but we'll just do a filler real quick. And then after they finish their thing, they go back and then they kind of bridge it all together. Like, oh, let's have a little detail here. Let's add some arms here. Maybe I feel too stiff here. Maybe I'll just do a body wave here, do a texture change, you know? So a lot of people tend to like just make a choreo straight away and then go back and refine it. And that's why I say I'm kind of weird, because I kind of just go at it until I feel like it's good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. For those who are struggling with, just learning learning how to do choreo in general, what would be your number one tip on like how to improve choreography bit making?
Mm-hmm. Choreograph making?
Yeah, just like
Oh,
making choreography,
um, release content.
release content.
Mm-hmm. I have, well, I don't have them anymore, but what I used to do back with my friend group, uh, what I do is I would always like create choreography. Since we were having that rivalry together, we were just kind of like trying to one up each other in a way, because it was really fun. So it was really fun, like watching each other like make a certain dance to this one song. You know what I mean? And it's always been Chris Brown. uh, so like I would watch Frankie do his set, and then I would watch Edgar do his set, and I'm like, okay, I'm about to do my set. Let's go. And then after that, we would just record it and just kind of keep it for ourselves. But since social media and everything is all up and YouTube, uh, creating content is so much easier now. And I would say like if you're new or at least trying to like build up your choreography skill, I would say record everything, post it up. It doesn't have to be public, but just keep it for records. Like I really wish I kept a lot of my old ones to see my growth. Like if you saw me back then, oh my god, you'd be like, that was you. I was pretty bad. But I would say like, yeah, just create a bunch of content. Don't worry about like perfecting one. Because back then I was so obsessed of like, this has to be perfect. This has to be perfect. But we have to realize like this is an art form. Art always evolves over time.
Yep.
Like, you know.
Yeah, sometimes I think people expect to like see growth or like progress like the very next week or the very next choreography, but dance is one of those things where like you have to look back at yourself like 3 months back in order to see that growth, or like a year back.
Yeah.
You're not going to see it looking at yesterday's video, but you'll see it looking at like last year's video.
Exactly. Just keep at it, man. Like it takes time. Art always evolves with time, and just actively like getting better, you know. It all comes around with repetition, taking classes for sure. Like even if you create choreo, it's also important to take classes, no matter what it is. There's so many things that we can work on, whether it's like trying to be more clean, or can you change things up here, texture changes, stuff like that, man. Or even like learning a new style. Like just take a break, go back to one, go back to the other, choreograph here and there. Just stay active, stay inspired. That's 100% sure. Stay inspired. Doesn't have to be dance in general, but anything art related. So
let's switch gears here quickly, and you were part of the 612 crew, right? You said. So talk about kind of like what the 612 crew was, your experiences in it, and like maybe not like in it specifically, but your experiences with being considered a professional within an industry.
Yeah, so I guess I can tell you how it started. During the coup d'etat moments, I was auditioning for my first year of 612 crew. I did fail the first, I think 3 times I didn't make it in. The first 3 auditions. September.
Oh, you're breaking up again. All right.
Is here.
Give it a moment. Your screen is frozen and I can't hear you right now. All right, now you're good.
Boom, boom. Okay. All right. So yeah, it says unstable. There you go. Okay. I'm good though?
Yeah, you're good now.
All right, cool. So yeah, the first 3 years I failed.
3 years?
3 years.
Oh,
yep.
wow.
3 years. So
Jesus.
For anybody trying to make it to 612, it's pretty tough. Don't down yourself on it because it took me 3 years. Maybe longer for some. And it's okay. Always keep trying and your hard work will pull through. And you can even talk to me if you need help. But yeah, the whole process of it, my technique was very sloppy. I did learn choreography fast. That's one of my perks of starting dance as a choreographer, or maybe just genetic, I don't know, brain capacity. But yeah, I was really good at learning choreography. It was great, but I didn't have the foundation or the strength to continue it, or to show it, I guess, to say clarity. So going into it, the 4th year or maybe 3rd year, it was one of those two. I was a sub in the 612 crew. So generally what happens,
how did that work? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Generally how that happens is I was the same crewmate as Herb, and he's the main choreographer of 612. So I kind of had like in a way. And usually what happens, so you start in September, and then generally the Timberwolves season ends around, I want to say June or May. So usually I'm a sub in the summertime during the link season. And that's when most of the members of 612 is either like not present or not able to perform. So they needed people. And I was there and Herb asked, and I was like, bet I will. So that's how I became a sub for like at least a year or two,
It wasn't
just
just the
during the
Timberwolves; it
summer.
was the Lynx too, right?
The links, yeah. So they
Okay.
do both Timberwolves and the links. Generally, they do a performance per month with 2 practices.
Oh, so it's not every home game; it's just once
Uh,
a month.
hmm
Gotcha.
Yep. So yeah. So I was sub for maybe a year or two, and then I was able to catch on and learn from them within those rehearsals.
So
So
let's pause there quickly. So what
yeah.
are the practices like? Because so it's a once per month performance, but
Mhm.
you only get 2 rehearsals,
Yep.
right? So what's that like?
So first week would be usually is always Sundays. The first week is usually just learning all the choreography, and keep in mind like choreography goes from between I want to say no 45 seconds to 2 minutes at
Mm.
most. At most. And that's a lot of choreography for people that don't know. It was a lot.
For just 2 practices or one? Yeah.
Two practices. And you have to get it all down within
Man.
before the game day, which is oh man. Actually, it was actually pretty fun though. So we learned a bunch of choreography the first week, and then the second week we either finish it or we start formations right away, and drilling at the end of it by the time we were done. And then the week after that is performance day. Um, Sometime it's on the same week of the second rehearsal date, so that can be stressful at times. But yeah, that's generally how it works. First week always been somewhere you just gotta really like focus. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Because there's a lot of choreo that goes into it.
Is it more pressure to learn the choreography and not, to not mess up, or is it more pressure to like just be on that stage? Well, it's not really stage, but just to actually perform, at the center of the court. What would you say, or is it not pressure for
the,
you at all, or?
the pressure and stress, most of it comes from the day of the performance. So
Ah,
a lot of the times we end up not drilling a lot of it. So at most we would drill it maybe like I want to say 6 times,
no, you don't
maybe
want to
less.
over practice the day of, because
No,
then
no,
you
no.
you start thinking too much.
Exactly. But by the time of game day, we always get there at three 3 hours before the game time.
Hmm.
So we're on court rehearsal at this point.
Was that like a team rule, or is that like a Minnesota Timberwolves rule?
It's the target center rule, yeah.
Target center rule? Oh, okay.
Yep. So there's 3 different groups in target center. There's the Wolves dancers, which is the cheerleaders in a
Mm-hmm.
way. There's the first ab breakers, and then there's the
Mm-hmm.
612 dancers. Wait, actually, there might be one more. There might have been a senior one too, a senior squad. So it was a bunch of like 55-year-olds dancing. It was really cute. Oh, and there's also the pups, which is the kids.
Oh yeah, yep, the pups as well.
So they have a certain amount of time on court rehearsal, which is really stressful because we only have time to run it at least once or twice,
Mm.
at most, maybe 3 or 4. So there's a lot of crunching time between the court, and we're sharing with the wolf dancers, and they have a set to work on too. So going on court, we have to figure out spacing, spots. Um, the coordinator that works with us can be very, I want to say, very pressured because she's always watching us. I love her. She's
She like the
great.
one that like just makes sure everyone stays on schedule and
Yeah, she's
things.
the one that hired us, basically,
Ah,
in a way. So we have to be kind of tip top shape, and be very professional and, very fast. So sometimes it really sucks hearing her feedback, like, oh, you guys had to do this and that part's not clean, and that
Mm.
always really sucked because we want
She's
the
a
standard to
coordinator
be good.
for the Timberwolves organization, right? Not
Hmm.
612.
Yeah, she's coordinator for all of the groups,
Gotcha.
and she's also stressed about a lot of it too. So she has a standard to meet as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, well, she's not the only one, but there's another guy too, and yeah, he's more hard. Um, but yeah, it was just like we have a standard to like show like 612 is the real deal. Like, yo, this is us. We're good dancers. We're professional, and we want to prove that you know we deserve the spot. So yeah, with a short amount of time, we record every run through of ours. And then after we're done with our court rehearsal, which is literally like 5 minutes, we only have 5 minutes to run everything.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was pretty fast. Um, we go to the back room. Uh, we have 3 hours. Usually, what we do is we look at the video and then we just take our break. We go on lunch. We kind of hang out together, which is the fun part. It's really fun, but it's a lot of waiting. And then sometimes if we mess up too much or it's too bad, we end up fixing a lot of the stuff first before we have our break. And then when we come back, we drill it maybe once or twice, maybe three, and then we wait until our first time out, which is when we go out and perform. So it's pretty fun. The hardest part as a beginner was the crowd. There's a lot of people. There's cameras in front of you. So facials need to be on point for sure. And then just remembering it because it's a big room. And then, you know how most dancers are usually performing inside smaller rooms, the energy is bouncing back at you. But since it's a huge stadium, the energy is just like bursting out without it bursting back at you.
So
You know what I mean?
you said something that caught me off guard. Actually, you said you perform after the first time out.
Yeah.
So it's not even halftime, right? It's the first time
No.
out.
Sometimes we get halftime, but that's like additional to our first time out.
Gotcha. But like, you don't even know when that timeout's going to happen.
No, we don't know. So
You just have to be ready to go.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah,
What?
we do. Crazy.
Damn.
Yeah.
It could be like 10 seconds into the game or something.
It could have.
Wow.
But yeah, first time out is always when we go out. And then, that adds another stress if we have a halftime gig as well. We learn that on a Monday every time.
So what if there just wasn't a timeout? What's the plan for that?
We'll just wait for the first half then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so Sundays are usually the practice days, and then performances depends on, they give you a set schedule, so we always know when to go. But if there's a halftime show, that's something that's very spontaneous, and they're like, yo, we got a halftime for the next 3 weeks, or in the next 3 weeks. And he's like, you guys got dancers? And we're like, okay, who's all available? If you're available, then tight. We only have 1 day rehearsal, and then that same week we perform it. So halftime can be really stressful at times, and it's a lot of like sitting around.
Is that usually your longer performances for halftime?
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes
it's less dance but longer, because sometimes it involves other dancers as well, like the Minnesota.
Oh, it can be like a collaboration.
Dancers, wolf dancers, yeah. So like it'll be collaborations with the cheerleaders or the pups. Maybe sometimes we collaborate with the first ab breakers. So it all varies.
Gotcha.
Yeah, those are like the most paid and most time consuming.
Were you part of the team before COVID shut everything down, like mid-season or towards the end of the season?
So I wasn't part of it last season because I actually caught the flu during the audition. Oh, that feels so bad. Like that was one of my money maker's
Mm,
job, and I
gotcha.
was so sad. I was like, I was literally about to go in there, have some ibuprofen, take 2 down, and just like go at it. But friend convinced me to stay home, and that was probably a better idea.
Gosh.
Um,
All right.
yeah,
So then you said that you also worked as a choreographer over at Straight Line, right?
yeah.
As well. What was that like? Because we went from, you know, dancing in a crew that isn't
Hmm.
necessarily owned by a studio or a company to
Yeah.
Timberwolves. So let's tone it down back to like the middle area now. So what
Yeah.
was Straight Line like? Just not, obviously not Straight Line specifically, but
Yeah.
as a choreographer or instructor for a studio.
Yeah. So I believe Straight Line was my first teaching job. Um, Joel hooked me up with that job. Shout out Joel again. um, so yeah, at first teaching was pretty fun. I was trying to figure out how to structure my class. At first, it was just mainly focused on social hip hop foundations.
Was there like a goal that you had to meet or like some sort of
No,
yeah, no?
no, no.
Okay.
It's a pretty chill studio. Like it's pretty new. The studio was really new. I would say maybe it was like about a year in.
Oh,
So
at the time
yeah,
that you joined?
yeah, yeah. So well, I kind of joined maybe a year and a half in from their birth time. I don't know. I don't remember. But yeah, they were pretty new at the time. So they didn't really have a lot of expectation to this class. It was just more of like a fitness kind of class. So it all started off with just me teaching social hip hop and a few house classes in there. And then, as the years go by, I would change it to choreography, but beginners, like try to make it easy as
Mhm.
possible. So it was really like, it was really chill. It wasn't too bad. And making choreography every week was kind of fun. Sometimes I would repeat because eventually we do run out of songs, which is the hard part. That's the hard part of teaching is like we don't have endless music that we can vibe to.
And it's a lot of pressure coming up with the choreography every week too.
Hmm. Sometimes it's okay to repeat because some people do like repeating, especially newer dancers. Um,
Oh yeah,
it,
like if you
it,
have like a banging choreography that people just missed and want to learn,
yeah,
that'd
exactly.
be a good time to repeat.
Yeah.
People like Andy does a lot of repeats,
Hmm.
but everyone loves learning from him and his
Yeah,
choreography.
exactly. It's the fun vibes of it
Mm.
and how you feel about it. So yeah, it was more of a it was more of a fun job for me.
Hmm.
Like a lot of times they would yell at me like, "Come pick up your check," and I'm like, "Oh, I forgot."
No
Like
direct
I'm getting paid
deposits.
about this. Yeah. Teaching at HOD was a different story. Because that was more involving with kids.
Hmm.
I
It's
had more
different than
kids class.
adults.
Yeah, yeah. So that
So what's the
was
difference? What would you say
uh
between adults and kids teaching?
oh man, dude. It's a lot. um well, let me clarify this. Like at Straight Line, I feel free to teach whatever I want. You know what I
Mm,
mean? So that's the freedom I get to that I love. House of Dance, they have a curriculum.
mm,
So
gotcha.
that's something I have to work around and
Hmm.
not really go out of the box a lot. So teaching kids, oh man, you have to change your posture, your assertiveness and strictness with them first
Mm.
day. Because if you're laid back and you're teaching kids, they will catch up on that.
Take
Like,
advantage of you.
exactly. Like,
Kids are smart. They're lucky smart.
yeah. Like the kids don't know that they're actually taking advantage of you. They're just kind of like they just do it. And if they, get talked about it, then, maybe they'll do it again, maybe not. But if you kind of like scare them right away, like, yo, this is the rules, this is how class is gonna go, then they'll understand. You got to set an example right away because you got to think like a kid. Like I was a bad kid back then. I was very ADHD. And usually when I go into class, if it was like laid back, chill teacher, I would just probably mess around a lot too. So, um, yeah. So eventually, like starting teaching kids is fun. I love kids. I was really good at teaching kids. And then, working part-time job to part-time school and going from one job to another. At that time, I was working like 4 jobs because, I was working at restaurant work with my family and then teaching at Straight Line,
So you guys
teaching
have
at House
a
Dance,
Lotus, right?
612 crew. Yeah. Yeah. So it was a lot. And then on top of that, school, and I was like, school has to go. So I kind of dropped off because like I'm paying for my school out of pocket and having so much like activities or like jobs, it
What were you
really
going to school for?
I was going for IT,
Okay.
originally like computer science, but it was just too much. I needed more time in coding as much time as I'm dancing.
Mm.
So I was like, I'm gonna go back eventually. You know what I mean?
hmm So then, working so many jobs, you work with your family business, with
Hmm.
dance. Is dance something that you feel strong about, like in your future, that you would want to make a career out of, or do you see dance as more of like a just like a side gig or a side hobby, like a lot of us do?
Back then, I wanted to go full time dance,
Mm.
um, and not just dance, but like other fitness stuff as well. So I was thinking about doing like certificates or like get certified for something. Um, but with times moved and changed, I would say I still want dance to be part of like an income, because it's more of like my lifestyle with dance is like it's the only thing that's keeping me active in life. Um, so I do want to keep that aspect of it. I want to slow down on teaching though, and which has been haven't taught for like maybe a year and a half now, which is nice. But when the whole quarantine ends, I might be able to jump back in and teach house and also some choreographies uh, on the way. Um, so I wouldn't say it's gonna be my full time anymore because I'm now working a full time job after the whole coronavirus thing and entertainment's going down. But yeah, eventually, I still might stick around for 612. Not might, but I will. And then trying to work with that with my full time job, and we'll see where it goes. Like my my why in life is like helping people and
Mm.
maybe performing. So those mini goals are always going to be forever changing because the world's always changing and you never know what's going to come
Yeah.
your way. So,
So to like a 16, 17, or 18-year-old, dancer who wants to make a career out of dancing, or at least have dance be like its primary source of income.
mhm.
Do you think that everything that you went through is enough to be a safe job? Teaching in so many studios, or getting paid to dance for a big team, or do you think that it's with the industry, with what there is in Minnesota specifically, do you think that right now it's only like a part-time thing and they should have another source of income somewhere?
Uh, Dancers should have a part-time income, like especially people in LA. For example, my friend Richard Wing. He moved out to LA to go to school for something, but he was also doing a lot of dance stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So he was auditioning for dance jobs, commercials, whatever it is. Like as dancers, we're always hustling, but we also there's always those moments that are not consistent. So you definitely need some sort of income for
Mm.
sure. He did work at restaurants, so tips are always great. restaurant work is very flexible. Like you can always find a replacement, somebody to like cover you whenever you need to go to an audition or just like another job site. So definitely for sure a part-time job is recommended. You can survive off of it, but you're going to be living check by check. And that's something you don't want to do. You want to be able to save money for like whatever might comes around. Like for example, if you get a job, no, not a job, a gig for dance, right? And you need a certain look to you, you have to go out and shop. You're gonna need those bank deposits or whatever you need that you've been saving up, you know, and you can always write it off in your, you know, taxes and stuff. Um, for the young ones, avoid getting teaching jobs. Like you can do guessing jobs, but teaching, don't do it. Not yet. Not until you get older. Mainly because a lot of people tend to like look at teaching jobs as, you know, something on a pedestal. But it's something that you kind of want to do much later in your dance career because it's more consistent. But I mean, if you do get a dance job and if you do want to go for it, go for it. Go do whatever you want. But just don't plateau. So like what I mean is like if you're teaching a class, go take another class. 1-to-1 ratio, you know what I mean? You always want to continue dancing. Because usually when you tend to get into a routine of just teaching every week, you tend to like fall off from taking classes because you're either mentally, you know, drained or just tired. So it's always important to always keep training, keep growing. And teaching is usually, it'll make you grow to a certain point. Like you'll learn different teaching styles. You'll learn how to, you know, explain your own moves. So and so there's a lot of benefits of teaching, but there's to a point where you kind of plateau, you know what I mean? So for the young ones, I would say just keep networking. Networking is your number one priority. And traveling, taking classes, do it while you still live with your parents, save money. Yeah, it really is like what they say is a hungry artist, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that even like some of the big dancers or people in the dancing industry, they're broke.
mhm.
They're broke as shit, and they still
Yeah,
gotta find part-time jobs or even full-time jobs
yeah,
while
but they're
still
smart.
yeah.
They're very smart because they save money. They before they got big, they just, you know, they kept hustling and looking for jobs.
Mm.
So it's a hard pathway, but it's fun.
Yeah, for those dancers out there who want to make it a job, you know, it's kind of like kind of what you and I also do with the videography sometimes too. You know, like once we get a
Exactly.
job, we're hired, but like once that job is done, you're jobless. You got to go find another
Hmm.
job somewhere else.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So just build your resume, you know, like audition everywhere, you know, try to network, go to workshops from out of state, you know, take local shops. Just continue, like it's a continuous hustle, man.
Mm.
That's really it is.
All right. Well, we are. Looks like we're about ending the not ending. Approaching the end of the podcast here. So, last thing that I'd like to do is just let you have an opportunity to plug yourself or plug whoever, whatever, wherever you want. You know, where can people find you,
Yeah.
or where can people find whatever you suggest they should find?
Hmm. Well, you can follow me with my dancer page. Oh my God, Zack Sowin, ZACKSOWIN
That
on
on
Instagram.
Instagram.
Yes, sir. And then you can find my film stuff in my bio too. Um, just hit me up if you ever need some advice or some guidance. I'm always here to help. I'll try my best to really help you guys out. Um, yeah, I mean, that's all I really need to say. Just keep practicing, keep dancing, and stay healthy.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Thank you, Zach, for joining me today, and I hope that everyone enjoyed this podcast and the knowledge and experience that Zach shared. If you haven't already, subscribe to me on YouTube, give a thumbs up, comment down below in the comments section, share on Facebook, whatever you gotta do to support. I still need 100 subscribers in order to get my own personal URL, so
Yeah.
help me out here.
Yeah. Subscribe.
But yeah, man, thanks, Zach, for joining me. And I'll see you in the chat sometimes.
Oh yeah, dude.
All right, man.
Peace.
Have a good night, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Taste me, I see you